Hello, with me today, once again, are two good friends of the Christian Institute, Heidi Crowter and her mum, Liz. Heidi's from Coventry, she's 26, and she's just celebrated her first wedding anniversary to James. And she has Down syndrome, which means the law considers her to be seriously handicapped. She was in the High Court last week because she's taken the UK government to court, the first person with Down syndrome to do so. Welcome to you both. It's great to see you.
Good to see you.
You too.
I should just say, of course, Heidi, that you are now, in fact, Mrs. Carter, but for the purposes of this case, you're continuing to use your maiden name, which is why I introduced you in that way. Heidi, if I could start with you, just remind everyone why it is that you've gone to court.
So the reason why I've gone to court is that because I'm someone who has Down syndrome and I will not tolerate this discrimination. And at the moment, the law of the land is that a baby without Down syndrome can be aborted up to 24 weeks, but a baby with Down syndrome can be aborted up to birth, which is not on.
And this is, I mean, this is a big thing. To go to court is a big thing to do, and you've had to raise funding. I imagine that it can't have been terribly easy. Why is this so important to you?
And I want people to see me behind the X chromosome. Yeah, I want them to just, when they look at me, just look at Heidi, not the chromosome.
Liz, if I can just turn to you for a minute. Claire Murphy, she's the head of the abortion giant BPAS, British Pregnancy Advisory Service. She says that the law shouldn't change because, well, essentially because there's so few abortions on grounds of Downs. How would you respond to that?
Discrimination is discrimination, whether it's one baby or 1,000 babies being discriminated against. If you replace Down syndrome with girl, and you found that the 30 girls were aborted right up to birth, you wouldn't allow that because it's discrimination. So if you say 30 babies with Down syndrome were aborted up to birth, then that's discrimination, however many it is.
And of course, the change that you're looking for, in fact, go wider than Down syndrome, wouldn't it? So, I mean, we know that you can abort up to birth for clubfoot, for cleft palate, things which can be relatively easily resolved. Okay, thanks, Liz. A question for both of you, really. Obviously, the judgment's been reserved at the High Court, so we're not going to have a ruling for some time. But just as an indication, how did you feel it? How would you say you felt it went?
I felt it went very well. I felt that I was in Legally Blonde. I love that film.
How about you, Liz?
Yes, I think it went very well. It was hard work, especially on the second day when it had to go online because of COVID. It was difficult hearing the other side's points. I didn't, as what somebody else has told me, we didn't listen to it all. Heidi and I went in for half an hour on the first day, and that was enough. Bore Heidi to tears, and it was also very upsetting the way they described everything, just basically describing the law as it is, and in so doing, just completely showing the discrimination. So yeah, it's going to be hard to wait for the judgment, but we have to. In terms of the media, I think we got amazing support. More than one of the reporters and cameramen told me that they had changed their view between the beginning and the end of the interview.
Oh, that's great. That's great to hear. You're both Christians. What would you say about how God has helped you during this time? I mean, it's been a long process.
At first, I had to wake up really early for a half eight thing. But then God helped me with having a fantastic mother to have mercy on me and got me a coffee.
So yeah, the whole court case started back in February 2020, from mine and Heidi's input. So it's been a long haul. We'd expected it all to be over by last July. Obviously, because of COVID, it hasn't. So it's been hard work, but it's been good to have the prayers of people supporting us and helping us. On the Tuesday when the court case started, Heidi wasn't very well, and she still managed to do all the interviews well. And I think that was because people were praying and because God was helping her and helping us. Most of the reporters were very kind in their questions. Might be quite a funny interview coming because the GMB, the Good Morning Britain reporter, suggested that Heidi should do an interview alongside Piers Morgan, and she would like to see that because she thought Piers Morgan wouldn't get a word in edgeways. So that would be quite an interesting interview to see. Yeah, God has helped us and He's with us, and people praying is so important.
Well, there'll be lots of Christians watching this now. What would you say to them? How can they help?
They can pray, and they can also go to Google and Google about discrimination, and they can donate if they want to. Or they can check out my Fun and Vibrant Life on my Facebook, Heidi Crowter Living the Dream, and on my Twitter, it's the same name.
Yeah, so as well as checking Heidi out on Facebook and Twitter, please pray for us and get your churches to pray for us and pray for the judges as well. Great.
Well, thanks both of you. It's always a pleasure to be able to speak to you. I know you've got lots of other people that want to have your time, so very grateful that you've had the time to speak to the Christian Institute today. Thanks both.